Welcome to another step-by-step art journal video. Today we're going to do one that I did for New Year's Eve, and I have cut out 12 tags from a Sizzix Bigs die, and I am going to use one for each month of 2015. I've also used some manila tag board to make pockets for these tags, and you'll see me here cutting it down to size to fit my page. Now I'm simply going to measure between each one of these little tags, and I'm going to make a mark so that I can create pockets for them with some adhesive. And I did the second piece just by lining it up with the first piece so that I can get them in exactly the same position. And using some adhesive tape, I'm going to mark off all of those spots in order to make those pockets, and then I will run another piece along the back end so that the tags can't slip through once they're in there. The next step is to see exactly where my Auld Lang Syne music is going to go and where I'm going to need to fill in with some craft tissue paper using my glue and seal from Ranger. You'll see me adhering it to the page on the sides with that Ranger glue and seal. Once I have that done, it's time for me to attach my pocket. So I take all of the little red pieces off from the adhesive, and I'm going to attach that manila cardstock piece to each side in order to make the space for the pockets. I am going to measure the sheet music, which is actually simply printed on my computer printer onto a piece of craft tissue paper. I'm going to measure that and cut that to fit the page. And you will notice that there's still going to be a little bit of an edge of that manila tag board that is going to show, but later on you'll see that I have a plan for that, and that's why that didn't matter. Try to be extra careful about pushing this down. I did make some tears in different pieces of this tissue paper. This particular tissue paper was very, very easy to tear once it had the adhesive on it. But as with all things, I simply patched it up where I made holes, and it just kind of added character, thank heavens. Some more of that glue and seal to seal it down, give it a non-porous surface, and because I'm impatient, we grab the heat gun. Now I decided that I wanted to soften it a little bit, so I took some gesso and added some water, and with my finger I'm going to apply it just to soften that so that that goes into the background a little bit. I never worry about getting messy. My hands and fingers usually match the colors of my latest project, so I don't have a problem applying this with my fingers, but you could of course use a brush. Now I'm I'm going to add some texture, and with a Dylusions stencil of stars and my Ranger texture paste, I'm going to add a few stars here and there on my page. Always make sure to clean your stencils up after using texture paste, because if you let it dry, then it's going to really set in there. Now I'm just going to sprinkle a few clear micro beads on top of these stars just to give it a little sparkle. And it's hard to tell with my setup. I don't have great lighting, but once those set in there, they do give it a little sparkle and shine. Now I'm going to pay some attention to the tags, and I am going to use a planner set of stamps that I have in order to put all of the months on each one of these mini tags. I'm using Archival black ink. Now that I've got them done, I just want to add some color to them. And what I'm going to use are my Prismacolor watercolor pencils. And this makes it easy to apply color and get a quick watercolor look. I've got a pack of 36, and I started out with some blues for the month of January. What I love about these watercolor pencils is it's easy to be very precise with the placement of your color, but then to go back in, and I have a water brush, but you could use a brush with a cup of water, and by adding the water you really get that muted and mixed watercolor effect with these. In fact, I'm sure the longer that I use them, the more effect I will get, but you can see right now it looks like colored pencil. And then I'm going to take my brush, add a little bit of water, and it's going to blend that really nicely. Now that I've got all 12 of them done, I'm going to put away my stamps, and I actually decided to add a little bit of a highlight of some sort, a heart for February, some flowers for May, a daffodil for April, just to add a little bit of extra to those tags. Now that they're all done, I'm going to add a layer of triple thick to give it a glossy shine and also help it to slide in and out of that pocket a little bit easier. While those are drying, I took a piece of vellum and I put it through a Texture Fades embossing folder by Tim Holtz, and it's the clocks. And then I cut a couple of those embossed clocks out of that vellum, And with my distress inks, I am going to distress those with some vintage photo and some walnut stain. Now I'm going to take a Tim Holtz stamp from one of his stamp sets, and I am going to add a small clock in different places on the page. I'm not caring whether that's a perfect stamp or not because it's more of a background. And again, I'm using the black archival ink. And then I took some grungy stars that I had from another set and added those as well. Now using Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous Grunge alphabet stamps, I am going to stamp my phrase, which is Goodbye 2015. And again, I'm going to use the black archival ink. Wipe my stamps off just a little bit. I don't do it perfectly, and then put them back in. I kept the outer portion of the stamp set because it makes it so easy to keep them in place. You can see that I have my glue and seal back out, and now I'm going to adhere those vellum clocks with some glue and seal. Because I used the distress inks on there, they are going to blend into that vellum, which was my thought when I did them, which was why I used the distress ink. And you'll see that I'm adding some more glue and seal over my stamped images as well. This is because I'm going to shade them a little bit later. Now with some beautiful dark platinum ribbon, I am going to cover up those spots of manila tagboard or manila cardstock that I wasn't so worried about earlier because I knew that the sparkle was coming. I'm going to take some Stickles, or this is Recollections brand glitter paint, and I am going to highlight all of the little black musical notes with the black, and then I'm going to come in with some clear and some iridescent and get some of the whole notes and some other little spots in the music just to highlight those areas. and sparkly. Now I'm just testing and putting my tags in, but while I'm doing that, I'm actually taking a piece of burlap and pulling it apart and tying little strings of burlap onto those tags. You can see that I've got little messages on the back. So they all fit in there really well, but I still had a few things that I needed to do. And one of them was I didn't quite like the grungy look of the stamped letters, so I'm going to go back in with my Pitt pen, which is Black India ink, and I'm going to fill in those letters. Then I'm going to add some shadows with, this is a Faber-Castell big brush marker in Caput Mortuum, which is kind of a reddish brown color, and it works really well, especially on this particular color, for adding a little bit of shadowing and a little bit of texture. So I'm going to do that around the clocks, and I'm also going to do that around my stamped letters. Then I'm going to take my white Sakura Jelly Roll pen and I'm going to add some highlights, or just some little white highlighted marks on my lettering, as well as on the clock hands. Now I can pop my little tags with their memory on the back of each one into their slots where they belong, 6 on each side. You can see a couple of them I had to really push in. The adhesive, when I heated everything up with my heat gun, kind of spread a little bit, making it a little difficult in places. But they all fit. And there you have it. There is the step-by-step for the Goodbye to 2015.